Are here today on the first episode of the Elevated Woman podcast. I'm super excited because it's been a long time coming. Like, I would say about like 2 years that I've been nervous about making this podcast. But today we're going to be talking about what it's like to basically be a parent or a mother in this day and age with these kids in this generation. Did I say it right?
I think so. Yeah, this new generation, this tech generation, and because it was introduced to us as when we were young, and now these kids are full force in it. They know how to operate things at 1 years old, like all kinds of technology, not just phones these days, like other things as well, TV, VCR, phones, other things. And they got little robots,
Fire
and stuff.
sticks.
Yeah.
Oh my
And they got robots and stuff coming out.
What?
Yeah, they had like the little kid. The kid can have a robot. I forgot the type of name, but you can go and buy a robot for your child, just like.
Oh no.
Yeah, like on our bike.
Oh no.
Yes,
no,
you can
no.
buy a robot for your child, and then the kids are making robots. So this is a good topic for us.
And
for
anybody that's going, sorry, but
parents.
parents or anybody that's actually going through something with their kids and thinking like, this is just my kid, I don't know what's going on with my kid. No, this is all around the world that these kids are acting like this.
Exactly.
And it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's
about
a lot.
how technology impacts the children.
And how technology is actually babysitting the children.
Yes, I heard that when I had Malia. This guy, I was working at the gym, and this guy was like, "Oh, you're one of those parents that let the TV and the phone babysit your kid." I was like, "No,
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's not. That's not. I use different shows while I'm working,
Right.
To especially at that time I was a single mom, to allow her to still learn while I'm working, and then when I'm finished working, then I go ahead and do what I have to do, paper, pencil, etc. But this technology does babysit for some people, children.
Yeah, and it's hard too because it's like when kids nowadays it's different, even with the discipline, like how we were talking yesterday about when we said you tell your son no and I tell my son no, and they keep asking. Back in the day it was like you said, the parents said no, that's just that.
Yeah.
Like no is no. And
Right.
you would just like, or when your mom gives you that look,
Don't ask anymore.
Don't ask no more, and you better stay outside until the street lights come on.
Right.
And it's different now, like where you have to really watch your kids outside. I think you and I are good neighbors. That we're old school neighbors where we're like, all right, you got him, I got him.
Yeah.
You come down, all right, he's going up. All right, I got him. Like it's different nowadays, though. Like
I do agree with you, because this neighborhood is okay. So it's like a cul-de-sac, and then it comes down, the street lets out in front of your house, right?
Yeah.
So this cul-de-sac, I think you and I and maybe two other neighbors are the only ones, maybe 2 or 3 other neighbors are the ones that we really watch our children. But you and I are the ones that are out, and then the neighbors that are, they just looking out their window and they're like, hey, they pop out every now and then, but everyone has an eye on the kid. And even when I'm working, and I raise the window, I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Like, get back. I can't see you. Where you at?
Yeah.
Oh, the street lights on. Come on back in. Y'all know what time it is.
Don't pass that stop sign.
Right.
Don't pass that stop sign, Jabba.
Right.
Don't pass it. I be telling Judy the same thing. Where I'm like, don't pass that stop sign.
Exactly.
But it's I don't know. It's a lot with the way the kids are receiving information. That's how I feel. Like when I was saying, like, you tell them no the first time, they don't listen, you tell them again, and it's like I feel like whatever they're seeing on social media too is what they expect us to be, and they expect us to have this life, and then when you tell them no about it, it's like a tantrum.
Exactly.
And I even deal with that with my teenager son.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I feel the same way too because what I've learned is two things. First, it starts. What I've learned based on watching a lot of parenting videos and going through this strengthening family program is that it starts with the parents. What
Yeah.
we're doing is we want to be a little bit more giving and a little bit more lax than what our parents were.
Right.
We weren't as strict, but yet we want to do new school things with old school with a like I guess be a little bit old school with a new school twist.
Right.
But when we do that, we let go some of the discipline.
I feel the same way.
Right, which in turn allows the kids not to have that fear that we had when we were younger.
Yeah, because I used to fear my mom.
Yeah, and it's not really necessary. It's like it's
So
respect and fear
Yep.
at the same time. And it had to have the fear, especially with the moms, because moms, we don't have that power as much as the dads do. The dads just come in the room, look,
And that's it.
right? Or if
Presence.
right. The male presence is very important.
Yes.
But yes, when we get to the point where we go back to the old days or the time when we were being brought up, tell them one time, two times maybe, and then have the consequence. Then the kids, but it has to start young, I feel. Now, if we had a situation where they're not young and we're just having to implement it, like myself, we're like, okay, this is getting out of control. We're going to have to put in some...
We'll have to stop some gentle parenting real
Right.
quick. Because I've tried that. It is hard.
It's difficult, especially if you don't start young. But I think it's difficult if you don't already have training in it. I think that gentle parenting thing is just emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And everyone needs to go through that. I think it needs to be in schools. The children needs to have it. The parents need to have it.
That part.
Yeah, before you even become a parent, you need to have that skill. And then when you become a parent, you need to have that skill. So I think it's something that should be taught throughout the school starting at a young age. So if the parents don't have that skill, at least the children have it. And then they'll grow up teaching their children, right?
Because we don't have the coping mechanisms to basically, like when how I was saying, like, when we get frustrated after we try the gentle parenting, I'm not gonna lie, I start snapping.
Like,
yeah,
you know what? Forget all that. What I say.
Yeah. Now I'm tired.
Yeah, I gave you a chance.
Yeah, I gave you about 40 chances.
Right.
Now you pissed me off.
But see, okay, so based on my studies, the gentle parenting is not letting your child do any and everything. It's pretty much just disciplining them or parenting them in a way in which you're not traumatizing them.
Okay.
To an extreme degree.
But
right?
is it like more emotional, or is it just basically like what you're saying, like on your part of what you're saying, but is it also emotional?
I think it's all that. I think it's emotional intelligence, because you have to have emotional intelligence as a parent, because the children they're developing their emotional intelligence.
That makes sense. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So you already have to be either developing yours or on a higher level than your children, because you have to teach them. Right? So then once you start using your emotional intelligence, and this is where it comes in, where if the child is still not listening, okay, I done told you 2 times. I'm not going. You have to have your personal standard. I'm gonna tell you 1 time, or I'm gonna tell you 2 times. We go past 3 times, then we got some issues. So
yeah, and I like how you said that too, the other day about the consequence jar.
Oh yeah.
Because when you tell them once or twice, they get to pick their consequence.
Yeah. So in the strengthening families, which goes back to the tell them once or twice, I've learned that you have a rule jar. Go over the rules even throughout the day. So when it's a happy time, or everybody's calm and cool, or in the morning, like at kindergarten or preschool, they go over all the rules so everyone know what the rules are. And then they have them repeat the rules. And so if anyone break the rules, you go over what the consequences are when you go over the rules. So if anyone break the rules, they already know what the consequence is. So you have a jar. And shout out to Justina, I forgot her last name, but she was our Strengthening Families coach, and she was saying, you put have the kids come up with a consequence too. That way they feel they are a part of the process.
Right.
And they can't say, "Oh, this is not fair." Why it's not fair? You came up with that consequence.
That part.
Yeah, you said that if
That
I throw my toy,
like you came up with that.
yes. If I throw my toy, I know I'm gonna have to sit in the corner and write, "I would not throw my toy 5 times." You said you was gonna do
Yes.
that, so go do it. So, but in the consequence jar, you put a whole bunch of consequences in there, and
Okay.
she suggested that you have yellow, you have green, yellow, and red, or you have different colors.
That's a good idea.
So the red is severe. The yellow is like, okay, you pushing
Oh, I'm
it.
doing this. I'm
Right.
doing this.
And the green is like, okay, you touch, you know, you here's the consequence. It's not that serious, but you know, this is what you have to do. And so then they go in, and if they pick up a strip out of the consequence jar, and that's what they have. They have to serve that consequence. That's consequence is matched to whatever they did.
Now, do they pick anyone, whether it's red, green, or do they just like? Do you tell them pick a green, pick a red, or pick what was the other color, yellow?
Yes,
Like do you tell them that?
Yeah, you have to. She said to tell them yes. If it's a red, if it's a severe thing that they've done, okay, you're in the red zone. Pick out a consequence in the red. If it wasn't that bad, then okay, pick out a green consequence.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna definitely do that because, like a green consequence, I feel like if like how I have a chore chart up on my fridge, if say if Junie doesn't do his chore that day, or he's giving me a hard time, boom, you get a green one because it's not that bad. But you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, like what you're told to do, or like what your contribution to the household is.
And another tool was to have the chores, like if they eat in their room, have the consequences on a wall or something on a chart.
Okay.
So if they eat in your room, anybody eating in their room will get caught eating in the room, or you have any evidence that you've been eating in your room.
Because they be forgetting that evidence.
Right. So the consequence is next to it.
Oh, okay.
So that's
like
another way to
I
do
had
it.
that on my fridge, and I ended up taking it down because I thought it was a little bit too strict.
No, that's what these therapists and the strengthening family coaches, they're suggesting that. She literally suggested that.
Now, what I wonder sometimes is that do the people that are like the mom bloggers and stuff that are on Instagram, and they show these perfect pictures of their family and their kids, and they only like, do they do this? So that's what I wonder.
So the ones that I have been speaking to and following, they do. The ones that I know people who do this in real life. And then I speak with the strengthening family coaches. They have children, they use it. Okay. And then I also, of course, Instagram, people post what they want you to see. But you have these that actually post, and they are filming themselves post in life as their day go on doing it.
Right. And then what's crazy is that when they do that, they get so much heat from it.
That's true. I'm about to Jai Institute is one of the ones that I like to follow, but there is a lady that I follow on this Jai Institute for Gentle Parenting or something, and I follow her. She gives out a lot of good advice when it comes to different parenting styles for the kids, and she talks about her experiences. And let me see, what is her name? Destiny, Destiny
Destiny Ann.
Okay. Ann. And she talks about, so my 11-year or 12-year-old daughter was, she was having a really hard day, didn't want to get up for school, and so she talks about that, and she just goes through. You could tell that she had just came out that situation.
Is she a single parent, or
from what I know, the way she talks, she's a single parent. She has 2 children.
Wow.
So, but yeah, the people that I've been following, they have children. They're using these skills, and it works.
Yeah.
Everybody that I've talked to in life and that I've seen on Instagram and the strengthening family coaches and these therapists that I speak with, they have children, they've applied these, and it's a proven, it's tried and proven.
I'm definitely gonna try this
Yeah.
because I feel like it's gonna work, and I feel like it's gonna help. Also, the child that's making the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
They already know what the consequence is,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not gonna want to mess up or
Right.
do anything. But then I also don't want him to feel like he has to be perfect.
So that's where it comes in, us telling them you're gonna make mistakes. And your
Okay.
failure is okay, mistakes are okay. It's because it's just another way to find out how to do it right. Okay,
Okay.
it didn't work out this way. What did you learn?
That's a good question.
Right. And so I learned, well, when I get upset, sometimes I get upset, and it's okay to get upset,
You
but
snap. Not joking.
right, but this is how mom responds, this is how dad responds, this is how I
Right.
feel. And well, what are some ways to make sure that doesn't happen again, or what are some ways to kind of deal with that? Well, I realized when I breathe and I take a deep breath in and out, then it calms me down and I'm able to think clearly. These are real life situations that I've been through with my kids,
Right.
and they're learning, and those are coping mechanisms.
Do you feel
Yeah.
like that's like more of like, because I know that in I don't know how to say this. Okay, so in the past I've tried to do stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I know like as me being bipolar,
Mm-hmm.
I get amped up sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to bring myself back down,
Mm-hmm.
or take my medicine and calm myself down
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But um, do you feel like ever like do you ever think that it's like a white thing?
I feel like it's something that they had the ability and they were afforded. They
Yes.
had this information, and the people of like the Black Hispanic household, we didn't have the time, we didn't have the money to be able to do all this stuff, and we didn't
Or the
have the
help.
resources or the help. So that, but not saying that they had more so than us, like history has proven, statistics show, right?
Right.
But a lot of things they're presented with, a lot of people in the upper class, middle class, uh, white neighborhoods, white schools, they're presented with all these resources. But then you go to the Black neighborhoods, the Black and brown neighborhoods, or maybe the middle class, lower class neighborhoods. Some areas of the middle class and then lower class neighborhoods, we don't have these resources. We're not presented with
that is
that.
true.
I think that's what the difference is, because now we're starting to get these resources.
Yes.
With strengthening families,
And it's free.
and so with them teaching us this, I think it's just us having the knowledge. It's going to take time. They've had generations of time to implement it.
That's true.
This is kind of being implemented maybe what, 1 or 2 generations now, this whole emotional intelligence, the resources and the tools from strengthening families that they provide, or
Yes.
how to do positive discipline as opposed to discipline and punishment. Like,
Yeah.
instead of punishing, do positive discipline, positive affirmations, disciplining them, and then saying, hey, but I still love you. Great job, but perhaps you can do it this way. Or have you ever thought about doing it this way as opposed to that way? How do you think that will help you and coming out with a better turnout, or having a better result, or whatever?
Right.
So it's just a matter of certain people having that ability to implement it longer, to grow up with it and see how it works and apply it.
And I like the fact that you also showed me the Destiny Ann video, because as Black women, we get the heat of we're hard with our children.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And that hurts.
it might hurt, but it was a white man that I got that example off of. But he was a child psychologist, and he was like, tell them 1 or 2 times, And then when they don't do it, that's when you implement the consequence.
I did that today, but I didn't implement a consequence, but I did read in the book, because I was reading the book and it's really good that you gave me to read. Once you tell them 1 or 2 times, if they're not listening, then you just ignore the negative behavior.
Yes, and yes, exactly.
That's
so
like,
I
ignore it.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I literally ignored it and act like it was like he was non-existent right there in that moment.
That's hard too.
That is very hard.
Yes.
It was hard because I felt like my heart was melting. And what he did was literally stopped asking and walked away. And then came back and said, "Mom, I know that you were upset earlier, but can my friend come over?" Mm-hmm. And that's when I said yes. I was like, yes.
See, there you go. So we had that reputation, but it's because of, everything that we've been through and that we have to deal with, right?
Right.
But when I said it was a white child psychologist that I got that from, because I was said that to point out the fact that it's not white or black, and it's not that we get a bad rap,
right.
But every ethnic group is doing this. It's just a matter of who has the skill set to do it, who has that knowledge, who has that information.
Right. And I also think who has the patience.
The patience, exactly.
That whole part.
Because it takes time. And
girl, my patience be running thin.
Right. Yeah. And that's where discipline come in.
Yeah, and I have to discipline myself because it's literally rewiring my brain.
Exactly.
From what I was taught and what I saw growing up. So I have to rewire my brain to think that this isn't something that is literally, I'm sorry to say it, y'all, but the white way. Right. It's the right way.
Exactly. And not just because it's white is right. No, because this is a emotionally intelligent way to handle this particular situation. So, and that's what Destine Ann, that's what she says all the time.
I'm gonna watch her.
Yeah, she's always saying to rewire your way of thinking or change your way of thinking. And then a lot of these coaches are saying that. My coach Justina, she was saying it in the strengthening parenting program that we went through. You gotta refocus, change your mindset, and that's why you saying it's difficult. Yeah, I have to walk around with this book that's from the Strengthening Parenting Program that I received. And I'm walking around, I have it turned to a certain page, and I have a situation where the kids are acting up, and I have to cover my mouth, and before I say anything, I take a deep breath.
Read that part, girl. You gotta read that part.
Hold on, I said sit down and hold on.
Flipping them pages.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, all right, well, you did really good, even though my daughter rolling her eyes and giving attitude, like,
but you did really good expressing your feelings.
Right. But like, curve the attitude. I heard it. Curve the attitude. And then I go back to the book and I say, but next time do X, Y, and Z. But I still love you.
Right. That's good. That's good. Now, what if they are, because how I see things, and like being around children a lot nowadays, I would say in this generation, they have their smarts are very widened because of social media, because of the internet and everything else like that. So they kind of get to the point sometimes to where they can manipulate.
Right, because and I was going to bring this up too. They're looking on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, they have other kids posting, okay, this is how I got my parents to allow me to
get a new Xbox.
Right. Or stay outside all day.
Yep.
Or my mom said no, but after doing this, she says yes. And that does come back to the parents, what you are allowing them to do. But let's just get real. It's the age of technology. So the only reason why my daughter got TikTok is because her teacher said that she had to do a homework assignment using TikTok. And then I just never took it off because we're working parents and we're stressed out and already. So you kind of either you forget or you see that it's kind of give you a little bit of time to finish your work while they're doing X, Y, and Z. So call it, whatever you want in terms of the parenting, but it is hard being a parent out here, especially in this time. So you kind of fall into little things, but you do have to be disciplined as a parent, and you do have, I feel, and you do have to say, okay, only 2 hours, and deal with the attitude and the crying and tantrums.
Yes.
Which is what you brought up, but you still have to deal with the tantrums.
Are serious, girl. The tantrums, the slamming the doors, the stomping the feet, the real tantrums is serious, and I have to deal with that like every day. And it's like, and I know other parents are dealing with it, and they're like, well, what am I doing wrong?
Nothing, but I think, with my opinion, I think it's just a matter of putting the puzzle pieces together. Does, like, Jabari, he throw a tantrum, he got to the point where he want to, kick stuff and throw stuff. Excuse me?
Yeah. That's when that patience come in.
Right, like, you got to check yourself real quick. Like, hold on. This is not what we do. You are better than that. So first, the affirmation. This is not how, young kings act. This is not how future leaders act.
I love that.
Yeah, you're better than this. Okay, but here's here's the consequence to that. You already know that this is the consequence to stumping and slamming doors.
Right.
Here, so go ahead and start. Let's apply that consequence. That helps. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it doesn't. I think with parenting, I was told by old head, like an older woman. She was saying, you just gotta use different things and see how it works.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. If you hear a cat in the background, we had kittens, and they are literally like screaming for my attention right now, and I'm not giving it to them. So that's another kid I got to deal with. So sorry if y'all is hearing a cat in the background, but no, I think you're absolutely right, and it's a lot.
Yeah, because that YouTube and the TikTok videos on how to get your parents to do this and do that,
I even tried YouTube Kids. Mm-hmm. YouTube Kids was not even really good for the kids
because it's infiltrated by pedophiles. And yeah, it's really bad. It was just technology, period. You just have to be on top of it.
So, wrapping up the podcast episode, what are 3 or 4 things that you would give to moms out there until our next podcast?
Yeah.
Like, advice.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we could give our 3 advice?
Like 3. Your top 3 advice tips to get them through the next 2 weeks?
Yeah. I would say, okay, so 3 things. Prayer has to come first.
Yes.
I know I'm Muslim. So in Islam, respecting your parents is very important. Mm-hmm. So praying and me having the kids to pray and me reminding them how important it is to respect your parents, but also letting them know it's not just the kids having to respect the parents. The parents have to respect the kids too. The parents not necessarily respect, but have to treat the kids with respect and treat them well too, because they have to answer to God as well. And I know my kids respond very well to that because they feel like, oh, mom's gonna get in trouble if she do this or do that.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have to respect your parents, and so that seems to work. Just staying close to God, letting them know, hey, God doesn't. Is this something that you think God would be proud of?
Right.
I'm having to watch how I talk to you. I'm responsible for making sure I teach you this and teach you that, and that I'm not doing anything wrong to you. But you're responsible for making sure you listen and respect mom and dad, and making sure you are not doing anything that would, just like all of us, upset God. That's the one thing.
Right.
For me, staying close to God and praying.
Yes.
Because when my daughter gets upset.
That was my first thing, y'all. So prayer is my first thing. I'm going to go back my other 2 when she's finished.
Yeah. Because when my daughter, she get her attitude and she start fussing and why does this always happen? Well, check your prayers. What's your relationship with God? Did you pray?
My son says that all the time. Why does this happen to me? Why does this keep happening to me? And I'm like,
check your prayers.
Yep. That's a good one. Check your
Yeah,
prayers.
go ask God. Like,
when was the last time
pray.
you prayed?
Yes,
That's a good one. Oh, I'm gonna
establish
use
your
that.
relationship
Yes.
with God. And it was Mufti Mink, a sheikh that had actually that I got that from.
Now my kids yo. Yeah, let me I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off real quick.
Yeah.
So if you hear Papa, Mama, I love you in the background, I've been teaching my cats how to talk.
Get out.
And they're asking for Papa now. So they
Like, Mama ain't gonna answer me. Let me go to Daddy.
Yeah. So they will press the buttons of what they want. They'll press.
You got that machine?
Yes,
And it works.
it works. They just because they know now Papa's outside, so they watch him in the window, or they'll say they'll go Mama, I love you, or they'll say treat. So they'll press the buttons when they want something.
So it works, y'all. That Instagram thing that you
It does. So you put the treat on there and they eat the treat, but then every time they press it, they will basically, you'll tell them like, Mama, oh, hi, Mama, I'm Mama. Like, and they're getting it.
Oh, wow. And they are so beautiful, too. Look at them.
Thank you.
But going back to other two things that I would say, the consequence jar, let them come up with 2 rules so that they can feel a part
I think
of
that's
the
a great
process.
idea.
Yes. And then how the third thing, after you allow them to help establish the rule, of course you still have power. So if they come up with a rule and you're like,
Yeah.
nah, we ain't doing that, come up with another one, that's okay.
Yes.
That is okay. But don't shut down everything, and so have them come up with maybe 1 or 2 rules, and then you come up with the rest. Like 5 out of 10, you got 5 rules, 2 of them is, they come up with 2,
Right.
and then the rest is you.
I
right?
think that's a perfect idea, and that's something really great to leave them with for the next 2 weeks, because the prayer is gonna come, the consequence is gonna come, the consequence jar.
The rules, let them come up with the rules, and then have a consequence jar to go with the rules.
So what do you mean by the rules?
So allow them to come up with 2 rules. No eating in the room.
Okay.
If you eat in the room, that's a green consequence.
Okay.
What is the consequence? They come up with maybe 1 or 2 consequences.
Okay.
Then after that, you come up with the rest of the consequences and let them know, hey, these are the consequences.
Okay.
That are associated with these rules.
Okay.
So I learned, and that works. We were in that program for, I think, 3 or something weeks or something like that. It works. It's a program that should be like two semesters or something like that. It's a really good program. It's a lot of information, but in just 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, that has worked. The other thing, there was one last thing that I wanted to say that would probably help. It's the consequence jar, the rules, and I forgot the other one. I'll probably come up with it after you come up with yours.
That's okay. So the first one I would leave y'all with for the next 2 weeks would, number 1, like you said, prayer. Because no matter what God you believe in, no matter what you believe in, basically praying, meditating.
Yes, meditation.
Because meditation has helped me, reading, things that's going to calm your brain down and have that connection to being grounded. So that's grounding good. Yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Number 2, I would have to say what I'm working on right now is patience. So having patience to take a step back, walk away, even if you're in the midst of an argument or midst of a discussion or disagreement, stop what you're doing and walk away. Tell yourself it's not a bad life, it's just a bad moment, it's just a bad day.
Yes, that's really good. That's good. It's gonna be hard, and this stuff doesn't happen overnight. You really have to just keep trying. That's what I am learning in this journey. Is that you're gonna make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. But what I've learned is that they it's recommended to go back and be like, hey, Mom, I responded pretty. I didn't respond how I wanted to respond.
Right.
what I wanted to say is X, Y, and Z, but I got upset, but it's okay.
Right.
So, because we teaching them, hey, it's not about the mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes and fail. It's just how you correct the mistakes, right?
Yes.
So that's just you showing them, hey, mommy did this, and mommy is not perfect. And I let my kids know I'm not perfect. I strive to be, but I'm not perfect.
Right.
So that way, because I don't know if you ever had this experience where you thought your parents was just on a high pedestal. You put them on a high pedestal, and then they do something, and then they just, you're just like, how could you do this? And then you don't realize that they're humans, and so
because as a child, you don't realize that your parents are human.
Right.
You think they're just this working machine, this machine that just keeps on going and going and going and going, and they're supposed to fulfill your every single need, but that also comes with immaturity.
Right.
So being immature is basically thinking the world basically revolves around them. And as they get older, they start to see, okay, mom is actually a person.
Yeah, but then normally that comes with you losing some kind of respect.
Yes.
But if I found that when my mom told me, hey, parents are not perfect, we make mistakes, we're doing people. The best, right? But because she told us that when we were, like, I guess preteens, when she did make a mistake, it didn't hit as hard.
Right.
Yeah. And so we were just like, okay, well, she's human. She's trying
just
to figure
mom.
it. Right. She's trying to figure this out too.
Yes. And that's that part right there is literally like, even at my age, still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I have a 17-year-old and then I have a 9-year-old. So that's a big jump. And trying to figure out how to be a mom for a teenager, but then how to be a new age mom for my 9-year-old. And that was another, but that actually ties into the third thing where I'm like, starting to respect your children's feelings.
Ooh. And that's what gentle parenting is. Like, it's not what a lot of people think it is. Let your kids run free. It's just different levels of emotional intelligence and parenting, and respecting your children's feelings, because they have voices. Their voice matters. Their feelings matter.
Yep. Doesn't mean that they're gonna run your home. Doesn't mean that they're gonna run you, or if they're telling you how they really feel. I feel like myself before, when my kids would tell me how they would feel, I would be like, no, it's my way, and that's just that.
Exactly.
Like, you don't got no say in anything. Now I'm like, but tell me how you really feel, because maybe I messed up as a mom, maybe I messed up as a parent, or maybe I misunderstood or miscommunicated something to where it made you feel less than. Right,
because then I've seen this from my own personal experience with my daughter. When I started to listen, at first when I was saying, this is how it's going to be, this is what I said, it's right? I could see her shutting down, not standing up for herself, not speaking up. Now, okay, well, how do you feel? And me telling her, your voice matters.
Right.
Your feelings matter. But with, hey, okay, I heard you out. I understand this is what you want to do, but we're going to do it this way because I said, because of X, Y, right? Because it's because of this, and that. And sometimes you can't always give the reason why you have to do it this way.
Right.
And I let them know, I can't give you the reason why now. It's got to be this way. At least they have some understanding that there's a reason behind.
That's what I'm working on.
Right. And that she's not just out here disregarding my feelings. And after we let them know, after we have explained it to you, we listen to you, we've explained to you why we are not going to do it that way, then that's it.
Yes, because I feel like, like I said, my old self was not respecting my son's feelings. But then my new self, because my old self, I'm thinking, why do I have to explain myself to you?
Right. So they can learn.
Yes. But now I'm like, well, maybe I got to explain to you in a child's way so that you can basically understand where I'm coming from.
Right.
And that's basically me acknowledging your feelings about the situation, making you feel part of the family, making you feel part of everything that's going on here and the decisions. with the consequence jar and
Yes.
the rules.
So as a result, going back to my daughter and her having her voice, when I wasn't doing it versus me doing it now,
Right.
she's starting to speak up more. She's starting to go, well, you told me you wanted to hear what I had to say.
Yes.
But in a respectful way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I tell her, yeah, but in a respectful way. But I could see her confidence coming back. I could see her standing up. She stands up for herself. She stands up. She'll tell her teachers. She speaks up more to her teachers.
Good.
And yes. And I was afraid that wouldn't happen. And I was like, well, what's going on? Why isn't it not going in the way I thought it was? Me telling her, I want her to be able to stand up for herself. I want her to be able to be confident. Why isn't she this way? And then something, I felt like I had a voice tell me, word from God, okay, what are you doing that can possibly prevent her from doing this? Right. And I was not listening to her. It's what did I say? What did I tell you to do? Yep. And I wasn't explaining it to her. But when I started changing that, I saw that everything else started to change and her confidence started to be rebuilt. So it does make a difference. And that's that old school way. It's what I do, what I say.
Sometimes that old school way is so good, but it's not so good.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of...
I think it's what was instilled in us that we think it's good, but now we're getting what's instilled with us, what's new.
Right, and just applying these skills to old school, because it's not like it was wrong.
Right.
For us, it's not wrong, the old school values, but just applying new research, new information,
new school rules.
Yeah, these coping skills that other people are able to have, different income brackets or different when they get these different resources and everything that maybe like the lower middle class, lower class, or other people may not have.
Right.
These resources of how to cope, how to cope with your feelings, how to increase your emotional intelligence, and how to apply that to parenting.
Right.
So they may have that when we didn't, but now we have it, and now we're applying it to the old school parenting way.
Yes.
And so that's what it's because it's important when you go out and your child doesn't listen to you and you told them, hey, it's important for them to listen to that fear in the mom's voice when she say, don't step off that sidewalk.
That part.
Right.
Yep.
And you look at them a certain way, if you step off, you're going to get in trouble. That's important because, for example, we were at the vitamin shop in High Point, and I told my daughter, don't step off the sidewalk. And I had to keep telling her 2 to 3 times. The third time, a car was pulling really fast up into the parking lot, into that parking spot. Right. And I had to snatch her up. And I thought to myself, like, if this was the old school way,
I would have gripped her up and told her, what did I say?
Yeah, but that end, I would have stayed my butt on that sidewalk, and then we would have seen that car. That's why Mom said stay on the sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah. So, like I said, the old school ways are not necessarily bad. It's just a matter of applying.
And your delivery.
And delivering, right. And listening to the kids and applying what we know now to that works.
Well, y'all, on that note, we're going to leave you here. You got 6 tips and tricks and, I don't know, ways to just basically help you through the next 2 weeks until we're back. Thank you for tuning in to the Elevated Woman podcast. Remember, I am your host, Eliza Inez.
And Takia Anderson, co-host.
And we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Like, comment, subscribe, and comment what you think or what you want to hear next or what you liked about this episode. Love y'all.